everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Amigos podcast. This is Gila.
I'm Josh.
I'm Move
And today we're going to have an interesting theme.
Yes.
And I feel like Josh is going to take the reins because, as we discussed beforehand, I feel like I lack in a lot of experience when it comes to this area.
Same as me. I only have a couple of years. It's
I
because
don't
he
know.
has the most.
You guys
so.
say that now. I feel like when we get the ball rolling, things are gonna, jog
You
in
might be
memory
right.
or whatever. But today's theme is worst movie watching experiences. Okay.
And are we counting both in theater and at home?
So most people, you guys were thinking about in theater. I have a lot of in theater stories, but also I'm gonna branch out a little bit if we're short on time to things that don't include just the movie theaters too, because there's a lot of things that contribute to a movie watching experience. So I'm gonna start with it's gonna be a lot of stories, I guess.
And that's good. That's also fun.
So probably the worst. I've had a number of bad dates at the movies. So yeah, we're just gonna jump right in. You guys feel free to chime in if you think of something or have any predictions of where the story's gonna go.
Can I disagree with your experiences?
You know what? Go on. Disagree with my life experience.
That didn't
You guys
happen.
actually have a few together.
Yes, we do.
So that's going to be great. I hope
Yes,
you guys
we
go
do.
get into that.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of
Oh,
these.
I remember a number of them. So we'll
Okay,
be touching
maybe.
on
There's
those. in
one where
little
there's a
bit.
lie involved with my brother.
Oh, that one! Yeah, that's the thing though. It wasn't a bad experience
can
for
go-
me.
Okay, let's get into that one. Let's open with that one. So there's the famous Gila farting
And I
movie
didn't
theater
fart,
experience. Okay, so here's what happened. I'll tell you the truth
no,
of what happened that
okay,
day.
No.
And then Gila can
I'm-
tell her alternative facts. That's
you
what's
mean
happening.
the
here.
real one.
All right, so here's what happened. We're watching the movie, and then we're watching Harley Quinn and the pedantic.
Emancipation.
No, it's
Birds
whatever.
of Prey, the
Birds of
Emancipation
Prey.
of Harley Quinn or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
So we're watching that movie, and it was a very I very much enjoyed that experience. But something
same.
that made it even more memorable was that just as whatever his name was, White Claw, I don't know, the bad guy of the movie, he goes and he slits the throat of some family, right, to show he's evil, right, in the beginning of the movie. And then right in the dramatic moment where he turns to look at the last person he left alive, Gila just lays out a huge fart. And the
is
whole
so
movie theater
true.
busts out laughing. So right in
love
the
the-
Wow, the embellishment is off the
fact-
charts.
I love the fact that the story already changed. That's not even what people said when they tell people.
So that's what happened. Those are the facts. You heard it here first. Gila farted. End of story.
So for me, if I had farted, that's fine. I'm human. It happens, It is what it is. But that didn't happen.
What's your version of the truth,
This
Gila?
was pre-COVID, okay? This
Yes.
is clarification,
Yep.
but so we were watching whatever. So we were sitting, and it was Josh, then myself, and then Misa right next to me,
Mhm.
which is Huva's brother. We were, doing our own thing, watching. And then, you know how at the end of the movies, there's like a moment where it's like the climax, and it's like the last note
Mhm.
to like hit the last scene, like the last boom cut type thing.
Mhm.
So that was happening, and while that was happening, Misa sneezed so strongly. I saw I know too much. Like this might be a little bit bit, but
This is gonna be
I
triggering.
saw his spit fly across over me and right into Josh's face. And it was like all in slow motion. And then I see Josh like go crazy how he overreacts. It's like, what the heck? And he got so mad because he didn't know where whatever substance landed on his face came from.
Yeah.
And then Misa looked at him like he was crazy because he was just like, what is wrong with him? And I was just looking at both of them and I started laughing. And then they're like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, dude, you sneezed all over his face.
So the thing is the timing of it. Because it was literally like the movie ended, it cut to black.
Yes.
Like the music stopped, it literally cut to black, and in that instant is when I feel like something on my face. The first part of my animal brain was like, oh, that's just part of the movie, and I'm like, wait, that makes no sense. So I turn around, I was literally about to throw hands. I was like,
Yes.
who the heck? I was about to punch the person behind me. I was like, who the heck? You think you're funny or whatever? Like, I was so mad. And it was like, oh, you sneeze? Like, the thing is, this came out like a whole minute after was the fact he revealed that he sneezed.
Yeah,
So I was like,
he had
furious.
no idea what was happening, and I was just laughing. And then I was like, Josh, chill. It was Lisa. And he's like, what? I'm
Yeah,
like,
I was like,
he
what?
sneezed.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I'm like, he sneezed.
Yeah, Misael didn't know what I was reacting to
Yes,
for
'cause-
like that whole time.
Because he technically covered his face. You know how you like they say to cover your face like with your elbow or your
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah.
You know to not
yeah,
throw
but
it everywhere.
The raw power.
But I feel
that-
like
that
he
man.
didn't calculate it at the right time. Where he didn't calculate it at the right time. So when he like covered his face at that same time, it just flew out and it was like perfect. But I'm not sure why, out of nowhere, it ended up being like. I guess my thing here is how that story, which doesn't involve me in any way,
Okay, so after that,
turned out me farting because that never happened.
Misael and I decided that to cover our own tracks, to cover ourselves, we would tell the story of what actually happened.
Which didn't.
So to cover our own backs, so Hilo wouldn't, blackmail us with this information at some point in the future. We pre-blackmailed Hila with the truth.
Right. And
Right.
basically, it would just be your word against hers, both of you guys against hers. And
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
Right.
And,
I mean, you guys can believe me. I would own up to it if I farted. Thankfully, I've never farted in a theater.
But yeah, a lot of people have believed my story.
Yeah, some people were like, man, I heard that you farted. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's not what happened. And then I would tell them, and like, they would start laughing and be like, that's not what I heard. They're wrong. That's not true. That's not what happened.
So that's a really good opener to the types of stories that we're going to be telling here.
I feel like we've set a precedent, though, of like, are they going to believe the rest of your stories now
Uh-oh.
after this?
Will they or won't they? Uh-oh.
I feel like
promise.
I
they're
think you
too,
can definitely.
I feel like they're
believe
too crazy that you can't make them up.
Well, I'll go easy. I'll start easy. So, like I said, I've been on a number of movie dates where it's like, me and a lady who I'm like romancing or whatever. And probably the worst, even though it wasn't bad, but the one that sticks out in my mind of like, this is a movie date that was completely ruined was that I was talking to someone and I thought we had some chemistry, gave me her number, we went out for food beforehand. She didn't seem that interested in me, but I was like, okay, whatever, we'll see how the movie goes. And then she picks the movie. I had no prior knowledge of what the movie was. And the movie is Gone Girl.
Okay.
Which before the movie, I was talking to her like, hey, what's the situation? You got a boyfriend? What's up? And she was like, no, I don't want to really date people. I'm not looking for any relationships. I don't know. I got trust issues, whatever. And I was trying to win her over like, nah, man, you could trust me, baby. I'll never hurt you. Marriage is great. And then we go and watch Gone Girl, which is literally the plot of the movie is like you're being betrayed and gaslighted and framed for murder by your significant other. And then I was like, well then, she's either in a huge mood that she's going on a date with someone to watch this movie, or I don't know what. Because she picked it. I knew nothing about it going in. The thing that saved the date, though, ironically, was the movie itself. Because I wasn't even mad. I was like, this movie's great. I'm really glad I went to the theaters to watch it.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, her and I never talked after that. So,
Oh.
I mean, it's just you win some, you lose some, I guess. So yeah, that's one of mine where it's like,
What was the conversation afterwards?
oh, it was just she ignored me. I was like, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like, definitely not going anywhere. I was like,
But I mean, like right after the movie, like what were initial thoughts?
oh, I think I tried to make a joke of like, oh, I guess it makes sense what you're saying or whatever.
Oh my
and she,
gosh,
yeah,
Josh.
yeah, well, she was just like not about it. I was like, okay, whatever. Because they end up together in the. I mean, the movie ends. The movie has
yeah.
like a weird twist ending. So I was like, hey, that could be us or whatever. And she was like, nah, feeling it.
Ah, Joshy.
But yeah, there's been a lot of those where it's like a movie date, that goes weird because like something that happens in the movie theater or the movie itself.
It's like awkward.
Yeah, but there's something that I kind of want to mention that's like sideways to this conversation, which is like, I don't know if you're familiar, listener, with the meme or the phrase Netflix and chill.
Oh yeah.
where you basically like, you know, tell someone you're just gonna watch a movie when in reality you have other plans in mind.
Right.
Right.
My issue is that if there's a movie on, I'm gonna watch the movie. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Much
Yeah,
to the
I feel the same way.
disappointment of potential, you know, partners who are, you know, we're in romantic talks. If they put on a movie, it's game over. I'm watching the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We
I'm
are on
not.
the same wavelength.
So it's like
Yes.
that's something that where I'm like, oh, I thought you invited me over for Netflix. And I've had a lot of those conversations where it's like, what? I'm just sitting here. And I'm like, yeah, me too, watching the movie. Hello, you put on Tarzan or whatever. Like, what do you think I'm doing? I'm watching Tarzan.
Oh my gosh.
So that's happened to me a number of times. And I won't apologize. I mean,
You put on a movie that's
yeah, whose fault is that? You know, you just played yourself. I don't know. That's just me.
that's really funny.
It's like, put on music if you want the other thing. Well, that's just hot take.
So in regards to that, is there a reason you bring this up? This
I mean,
particular
that's also something that's like has happened multiple times.
I see. Okay,
you know,
so
where it's
Oh.
like,
times.
oh,
Right.
we're going out to the movies together, and then I'm like watching the movie, and they're like,
Right.
wait,
Yeah.
what? Why do you want to watch Blade Runner? And I'm like, what the heck? It's a classic, and we get in an argument, and they're like,
Because people don't see it the way that I guess we do. It is a social convention now. That's what it's for. When you're going out to a movie or you're Netflixing with somebody, you know, it should be up to them. It should be open to other things. You know, we're here not just to watch the movie. We're here to, you know, other things insert here.
right.
So yeah, I guess I could understand why.
It's like
They would be upset.
it's just there because it's like, you know, you're in a dark room or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like, you know, I don't know, if I'm at a baseball game, like, you know, I don't know. Is
It's
that
very different.
oh whatever.
I don't know
Anyways.
if it's because I don't know if this is like a thing of like we like movies, but if we're gonna talk about this, I've used that excuse to hang out with guys before, right? I'm like, let's watch a movie. I already watched it, so I don't have to worry about it, right? But it's like, it's kind of like a way that makes it less scary to get to know somebody and to like, you know what I mean? And there's also that nervousness of like, oh my gosh, it's not like instantly a movie turns on and you're like, you know,
Animals.
right? It's like no, it's just the idea of like for me, it would be hard for me to enjoy a movie sitting next to somebody that I have a crush on, for example, because I'd be freaking out the whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I wouldn't pay attention. So I feel like maybe I'm a little different when it comes to that. Whether I've seen it or not before, I'll be freaking out.
I feel
love
like
this.
I feel like you're the voice of most people. Right
Yeah,
now. I feel
I'd be
that's
like,
how
I
much-
couldn't
Or
be
the
able
other
to
side.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it because you guys are showing the contrary opinions, and
Yeah.
I think it's great. Because you're both, for me, you're both justified.
Yeah,
'Cause it
because
makes
it's not.
sense.
Yeah, it's not about like going crazy. It's more about like that nervousness of like a first date or like hanging out with somebody you have a crush on, or you're like, oh my gosh, or it's a movie that you like. Like, what if? Okay, this is weird, but for me, it would be like, what if they don't like this movie and I love this movie and they think it's stupid?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
if they think it's stupid, then oh my gosh. Or I've had moments where it's been a horrible movie, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think that I like these movies,
Right,
and then they're
right.
gonna think less of me. I've had those weird times where I'm like, I strangely care that people watch things that I recommend and that they like it. So
Yeah.
I try to really take my time and like when they ask, what do you recommend? I'm like, okay, what do they like? Oh, watch this, not this. And I feel like I've had moments where sadly it's been a movie that hasn't been great. And I feel like, oh, what if people think this is what I like? That's embarrassing.
Right. So a big example of that is like, I haven't seen this movie, but I've heard people who hate this movie, hated it when it came out, and people who were like, you've got to see it in theaters when it came out. And I know that you guys each can think of 5 movies that fit that description, but like The Greatest Showman is one of those where it's like it divided a lot of people.
Yes,
and
I am definitely in one camp.
I don't like that movie.
So yeah, that's one where it's like I had a lot of, you know, people being like, you need to see it in theaters, and I was like, really? And then other reviews came out, and I was like, huh, this ain't adding up. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about The Greatest Showman. It's like when I talk about Sword Art Online. It's very similar to my views.
But actually, I'm going to put Hoover on the spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
I remember once he told me a story that you were at the movie theaters with Evenes and I don't remember who else.
Yeah, my friends from that live in that area.
Yeah. And then you had something of a crazy movie theater.
Well, I was gonna leave that for the end because that's my craziest
Dude,
one. But you know what?
I think
do
we
it.
should just jump right in.
It's I guess people might have experienced worse, but for me, it's kind of scandalous.
No, I do think
No.
And it's pretty funny now to think back.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was like, okay, come on, these people are, come on.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching. I forget what year it was that this came out in the theater. My friends and I. And it was before I lived there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
In the Miami area, and we went to a theater that was popular there at the time. I think it was Cinemark.
Oh, that is a good theater.
And so it's a big theater. People around the area go there. It has a lot of rooms, and they're all big. And when we went, we were watching G.I. Joe.
Oh, okay. The first one.
Yeah. No, not G.I. Joe. What, was it G.I. Joe? Yeah, it was G.I. Joe. Yeah.
Wow.
The first G.I. Joe. And it was fun. We were there with our friends. And we're sitting in the back. They like sitting in the back row so they can see the whole theater and the screen. They just like doing it so they can like be in the back. If they want to talk, they can talk. If they want to, eat, they can do it comfortably. They just like doing it.
Right.
They like that view. And so we were all sitting in the back row towards the center. And I'm going to say towards 5 minutes of the movie starting, or the movie has started.
Right
5
at the
minutes.
start.
Five
Okay.
minutes?
No. 5 minutes in, these two individuals come in. They are clearly a
Suspect
couple.
1 and Suspect 2.
Yes, they come in. They're walking up. They're toward our left, so they sit in the same row we're in, but
Oh, wow.
all the way on the left.
Okay.
And so, we think nothing of it. Obviously, they're just people coming in to watch the movie. The girl is just to set this up. The girl's wearing something very like scandalous,
Okay.
like a very short skirt, and top like is showing a lot. This is how I remember it.
Right.
It could be different, but this is how I'm remembering it.
Right,
I forget
okay.
how long ago this was.
All right. So
Maybe
I'd like where this
2008?
story's going, is all I'm saying.
And the guy, he's wearing like very baggy clothes.
Okay.
And he's like one of those like cool guys. He's like gangster type looking, but he's white.
Oh, my kind of guy.
And so they sit down. And I think it must have been like halfway through the film, they start getting handsy.
Oh.
And the reason we notice is because they're moving around, like especially the woman, she's moving around a lot. She's squirming in her seat. And the reason it's noticeable is because you're in the back row and it just feels like all the light, when you're up there, all the light is hitting you. So everything's more visible.
Yeah.
And also, I'm also looking around because my friends are there. We're talking to each other.
Right, right.
And we were young enough where we're just like whispering things to each other. And so when I look over to my left, I can see them squirming in their seat.
Yeah.
And it's because they were getting handsy in a sexual way. I'm going to come out and say it.
Right, okay.
And so now it's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And the movie keeps going, and I'm going to say maybe like 75% of the way there, towards the end.
He was 75% of the way there.
75% of the way there towards the end of the movie, she gets on top of him.
Wow.
And they start having sex.
Wow. Okay.
They start having sex.
In a movie theater.
This is a packed movie theater.
Wow.
A
It's
popular
like it was
movie
like
theater.
1 or 2.
Yeah, and we're in the back row. And the theater is filled. So I remember like
That
the
guy's
rest of the theater
literally
was
the
filled.
opposite of me.
And so they're having sex. Obviously, he must have zipped down his pants. She's wearing short skirt, so she's on top of them. It must have been a very easy
I'm
maneuver,
putting the pieces
even though they
together.
were squirming a lot. And so they're there, and people in the back row now know this. Everyone's whispering to each
Yeah.
other. Everyone's looking that way and
Yeah.
kind of like trying to like make eyes at them, like,
Yeah.
please stop.
Yes.
Right? somebody must have said something because eventually they stopped, or they were probably finished.
Oh well.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so, I'm sorry.
Ew.
Honestly, that movie theater is probably just as dirty as any other day. I'll say that.
Yeah, so that's
That's probably
what kind
true.
of person do you have to be to do this, or like what could you be thinking, or like do you?
Yeah.
What I
How
was
much
telling
do
you
you
guys
like The
before.
Rock? You know.
Oh, The Rock for G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
And so, like, do you not, and you're, okay, but I'm not going to talk about their relationship. Why would
Right.
I? This is about,
I
like,
mean,
my
it's still
experience with
quite
it.
strange.
And so, at what point in your relationship do you have to get to, in your relationship to do that?
Yeah.
Point is, they did that, and at the end, the movie's done, the credits are rolling, and one of my friends, she's the oldest one in the group, and so she comes up to them and she says, "How dare you do that? This is very rude. Like, you guys shouldn't be doing this. Shame on you."
Wow.
And then we all walk away.
Wow.
So she told them straight forward, like, what they did was wrong. And it's like, we're in a public place. This is indecent.
Yeah.
Public indecency.
Wow.
And so, that was it. So it's
Dude.
funny to look back that it happened. Obviously, it's funny because it's like, oh, they're having sex in the theater, but it's also like it's a packed theater, so it's also disgusting.
Yes. Yeah.
And weird
yeah.
and
Dude,
perverse.
yeah. You know what? I
and-
think that does beat anything. That probably does beat anything that I can think of, dude. That's really strange that you experienced that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize on their behalf.
Yeah, that's.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
I mean, I also imagine this is not like what G.I. Joe is like known for, like to have a younger audience.
Yeah, it's like
too.
PG-13 when it came
So
out.
I mean, it's not even that. It's the fact that there for sure were like younger kids in there, and
Yeah.
it's a little distasteful. Not gonna lie, but
Yeah. Wow.
that's an interesting. You'll never forget G.I. Joe now.
Yeah. It'll be. It'll be like Pavlovian.
Oh, and I think The Rock isn't in. He's not in that
What?
first G.I. Joe.
Nuh-uh.
No,
that's
it's
a lie.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum is in it for sure.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
But he's not. The Rock isn't in
What?
that first one. I don't
Nuh-uh.
think he is.
I don't even know there was a second
Nuh-uh.
one.
Isn't there like 3 or something?
There's
No, there's 2. Okay.
And The Rock is in both. I stand by that.
No, he's not. You
What?
could be right, but
I don't even
no,
know.
He's not.
No,
I don't
he's,
think
he's
so.
for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Later on, let's put some money on it.
Let's put everything on it.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I don't gamble.
Oh, okay. So
Let's
you're
put-
not sure.
Let's stake our film buff cards.
Well, I don't know why. Do
again.
you hear my stomach? My
I
stomach
I
is
do.
did
going
hear it.
crazy.
I can hear it.
Okay, so yeah, my apologies for my stomach. I will add. I guess I'll just move into the next story that I have, where it was for the Star Wars movie for the reboot trilogy, the first one, The Force Awakens. Right, you guys know there's a lot of hype
There was.
for that movie.
I remember that. I watched that movie with Chris Torres.
Wow,
It was really
If you
random.
just dropped his name in there. You better be listening.
He better.
So that movie, when it came out, there was a ton of hype. So I watched the previous Star Wars movies. I was a bunch of my coworkers. We all got our tickets to see it in IMAX. So it was like there was, it was hype. And we got to the theater like 3.5 hours before the showing. The line was out the door. We stood in line. Everyone was just talking about Star Wars. The energy was electric. That experience, I was extremely upset because in this, the person behind me, I don't know if this happens in other countries, but in America they sell, like the popcorn and the soda, and it's the biggest soda container you've ever seen in your life, right? It's like they'll sell you 1.5 gallons of soda and like popcorn, and it'll be like $60, and go ahead and buy it. So this person who's in line behind me, they have their hands full with this popcorn and this drink. It's probably like, I don't know, 3 liters of soda that they were given. It gets larger
Oh, they
every
were
time.
behind you in line. I thought
Yeah,
they were behind
in
you
line.
sitting down.
No, in line, waiting hours before the movie, opens, and then, they drop their soda on my shoes,
Oh.
and it goes everywhere. It goes in my shoes, both shoes, My socks are drenched. My shoes are drenched because it was literally
How
like,
does that happen?
yeah, right, yeah. How
It's like
careless.
it was on purpose. It seems
So
like.
so this person was a stranger, right? But those things of soda are like, you can fill a water cooler with how much soda you get.
Right.
So I was drenched like down to the bone in cola. And I looked at this person and I'm like, what? And they were more mad at like the fact that they dropped it. Like, that's $60 down the drain. I was like,
Wait,
hello.
don't they get free refills?
Well, the cup broke, so it's like maybe they could still get it. I don't know. Like, that's what they were that's what they were thinking about. I was like I was looking at them like, I gave them like apologize to me eyes, I was like pointing at my shoes, looking at them, and they didn't apologize. I was amazed that they didn't apologize.
Damn, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I was very, very upset. So here's the issue. My feet, right? Like, I couldn't wear those shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever worn wet shoes or wet socks?
It sucks.
Yeah.
And you're sloshing around in there,
It sucks.
and it's soda. That's even.
Oh no.
Ew.
Imagine that times 20. Everything's sticky. So I had to take my shoes off and my socks off. I'm barefoot in the theater, drenched in soda on my feet. I was so
Why
mad.
did you take them off?
Bro, what? I can't keep them on.
It would have been better off because then you have to put them back on to
Well,
leave.
no. Oh, no. I was just barefoot the whole time. And then I was like,
Did you walk barefoot to your car?
yeah, I went, yeah, I did. And I
Okay.
went barefoot in the theater. I was like, if any movie theater attendant comes up to me to say anything about my soda feet, I'm going to punch them in the face. I was so mad. So I go in to watch The Force Awakens, which has so many triumphant moments, where the crowd literally applauds the Millennium Falcon. And like,
Right.
it was such a cool moment. But I'm barefoot. My feet are freezing. And the people around me, I'm literally seeing them like plucking their noses.
Yeah, it's
like,
December.
Yeah. And they're like,
Okay.
his feet. I'm seeing people around his feet. He's barefoot. And I was like, shut up. I was so mad that entire movie. And that person behind me ruined me and stood behind me for like an hour and a half still waiting because it wasn't enough time to go home and come back and get shoes either. And I was like, I'm not going to buy shoes from the movie theater. They're going to be like $100. Like, no. So it was like,
Oh
it was
my
a huge mess.
gosh.
And I was so mad. I was so
That
mad.
ruined the movie for you think?
Oh, actually, I quite like the movie. So the one
Okay.
thing that saved that story too was the movie itself.
Because of Kylo?
I enjoyed it. And Finn.
Kylo, you mean? Kylo. Actually, yeah, Finn's kind of cute too, actually.
Ray?
That was.
I just wanted to add her name.
If I was in the Star Wars universe, I would be Finn probably. I'd just be yelling at Rey, yelling her name the whole time. Anyway, so yeah,
He
that's
he
liked her,
does.
right?
literally.
The whole time he liked her?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He had a
I'd
crush
be
on her?
BB-8. So
Bill Hader?
What?
Bill Hader.
Yeah, Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz.
Oh, yes. Together.
At
The
last.
same person.
So that's one experience that I was like, I was furious the whole time watching the movie. My feet eventually dried up, but like,
You were cold
yes,
and sticky.
yes.
That sounds... I would be so mad.
Yeah.
I would be very, very mad if that happened
I was
to me.
furious.
Yeah, the person you should have punched was the guy.
I think it wasn't a guy.
Oh,
Which makes
that's
it.
what.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
that was it. Like some little,
Obviously, you wouldn't.
little college girl.
If it wasn't a guy, I know you wouldn't have punched it. But I'm saying like
No, I would
the
have.
person I would have been, or you should have like
Or I would have suplexed.
screamed that would have been the person. But I guess because it was a girl, it was. Like,
Yeah, but she didn't apologize to me.
Right,
either.
still-
So
that
That's
never
still
that never
rude.
came through.
Oh,
or maybe
okay.
because you never mentioned it.
Yeah, I
so
thought it
I'm
was a
thinking
guy
it's a
the whole
guy
time.
this whole
Yeah.
time.
No.
I'm thinking it's a guy this whole time.
In case if I'm barefoot, I have less power for striking.
But you
as
know
well.
what? Good on you for not, for
For
making me be thinking it's an old fat guy behind
Oh,
you
okay.
holding popcorn and soda, $60.
Yeah.
$60. I mean,
$60.
$60
what it felt
5-gallon
like.
soda.
But I have another movie experience that I'm gonna slide over to Gila to bring up, and I have one word, and I feel like we haven't really talked about this in several years. This may or may not be friendship ending, But
Wait,
listen,
is it Chappie?
it's Chappie. I got one word for you, and it's Chappie.
I remember now.
Okay. What are your
I've heard in
feelings on
passing.
Chappie?
Okay, this is how it started, and now it all came back. I hate that movie. I guess it's one of those things where I hate the movie because of the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Josh and I were going to the movies. I think it was for my birthday.
It might have
It was
been.
towards the end of the year.
It
I
might
don't
have been.
remember.
It might have
I think
been.
you were in town or
Maybe
something.
it might have been. I didn't even think of that.
Something like that, and I think that's what made it worse because it wasn't even what I wanted to watch, right? So we were going to the movies. I think he was visiting. He was out of town. No, I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
exactly why, but
Yeah,
we
at that
went
time
to.
I lived in Miami.
Yeah, so he was visiting, and I think the only time we could meet up was that time, and then obviously the easiest thing to do was to go to the movies. So we went to the movies. We're standing in the line, and we're like, "Well, what are we watching?" I wanted to watch
Do you
Birdman.
remember? Yeah.
I wanted to
Birdman.
watch Birdman.
Yeah.
I was like, I really want to watch that movie. I heard it's really good, and this is when we were like slowly starting really getting into film.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I really want to watch Birdman in the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, okay. She's like, but look, there's this movie coming out. It's on right now. It's named Chappie.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it by the District 9 people?
Yeah, the director of District 9.
Right. And I did like that movie. He made my sister and I watched that movie and we liked it. Like we didn't hate it. It was interesting.
By here, you mean Josh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the director.
Like, you're going to
Yeah.
watch it.
The director made my sister and I watch it. So Josh made us watch it and we liked it. But he's like, yeah, Hila, look at this movie. Look at this trailer. He shows me the trailer on his phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I want to watch Birdman. And he's like, no, but like we can watch. And I'm like, I don't want to watch Chappie.
Josh, why didn't you want to watch Birdman and you did want to watch Chappie?
No, it wasn't that I didn't want to watch Birdman. It's that I wanted to watch Chappie more. Imagine you got to
Okay.
put yourself
I
in
see.
2014. You know, District 9 was like,
Okay.
you know,
right.
so
You're
it's
coming
like
off
from
the
the
hype of
director
District
of District 9, right? Looking back, it's like the choice is so clear. But having not seen either of them,
Yeah.
it's like,
makes sense.
okay, I know one director, Iñárritu, who's that? You know, and it's like,
You later on will be your boo.
right, exactly.
Okay.
Later on, would move on to become one of my favorite directors.
Right.
But I mean, you don't know that until you know that. So
Right. So, and also I was like, I really don't want to watch. And also, it's something that I'm still kind of getting over.
Mhm.
My fear for robots and technology
yeah,
and,
yeah, that's
and them
it.
taking over the world.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing for me. That's why sci-fi isn't my favorite
Mm-hmm.
genre. I am working on it though. But yeah, I have a weird fear of technology. Well, I had one. So take that into consideration. I
Mhm.
didn't want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't like robots
Mhm.
more at that time, and I was terrified of them taking over the world. Plus, I really wanted to watch Birdman. I was like, I want to watch this movie. And whatever. He eventually ended up convincing me, and I feel like back then I was a big of a pushover, I feel sometimes. So I felt bad. I was like, no, like, if he does whatever, I'll just watch it. You know, we're friends, whatever.
Mhm.
I sat down. Also, to make this clarification, and I know it's like a stereotype, but it's a real one. I was on my period during that time, so I was extra
didn't help.
emotional.
Yeah, it
So it
didn't help.
So it
Right,
didn't
right.
help. I was extra emotional, and like I said, it was just everything together.
Mhm.
And we started watching this movie.
Mhm.
It's not even that bad. It really isn't a horrible movie. It's not bad. Nothing
I mean,
like
it's,
that.
It's no District 9 either. But
Right.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not bad. Honestly, it's
Never
not.
seen it.
It's
You should watch
whatever.
District 9 again instead.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll do
Chappie
that.
is whatever, right? It's like whatever.
Yeah.
But I think what got to me is that I started crying
Mm-hmm.
because this Chappie robot
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
on me.
Yeah.
And,
And there, I remember there was a scene where it's like kids throwing rocks at him. It was the most
Yes!
dramatic, like over the top, like
Yes!
violins
Okay,
going in the
no.
background.
It was so sad. They
Mhm.
were beating him up.
Yeah,
they
it
were
was
throwing
so-
rocks at him.
And the
then
music
you
was
see-
like,
and then you see Chappie crying.
Yeah.
And then I started crying
Uh-huh,
because he
yeah.
was getting hurt.
yeah.
And then you see Josh laughing at me. He's looking at me and he starts laughing. And it wasn't like a, oh, ha, ha. It was literally full on laughing at me. You're like, but he's not real. He laughed. Why are you crying? He doesn't have feelings. And I'm like, that's not the point, Josh. He's getting hurt. He's being taken away. He's getting kidnapped from his family.
Yeah.
His mom loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but he's not real. And I got mad because I was like, I felt so stupid for crying. And I also was mad because I didn't even want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And then Josh was
There's so
laughing
many things,
at
so
me.
many things together combined.
And then Josh was laughing at me. And it made me feel even worse because I was like, at least if I was crying in Birdman, it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
But no, I was crying for a robot that I didn't care for at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, I was bawling because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's hurt. And then Josh was just laughing at me.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I got so mad because I was like, Josh laughed at me to a movie I didn't want to watch.
Yeah.
I was extra sensitive about it. Also, it was, I think like it was for my birthday. So I was like, he didn't even respect that. I was just really mad.
Well, yeah, and in hindsight, it's like Birdman versus Chappie. You know, it's like, and it's so clear. The choice is obvious, and it's not Chappie.
But,
So-
and like I said, looking back at it, it sounds really dumb.
So he let me
but-
formally apologize.
No.
I'm apologizing on behalf of the
No.
movie theater people. I'm apologizing on behalf of myself
No.
for making you watch Chappie.
But that's the thing. It's not even a bad movie. And looking back, I'm like, that was so extra. But at the same time, I was so mad. And I hated that movie for years after. To this day, I get mad.
I should apologize on behalf of the soda girl to you, Josh.
Wow, Juve.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
But
For
your
who?
shoes were ugly anyway. So you got rid of them.
Yeah, I think I did get rid of them. I don't remember.
Wait, for clarification, I said this in the last episode because we're pre-recording. I'm kind of getting out of a cough, so I'm coughing a little bit more. But I don't have COVID. I promise. I'm healthy. I'm good. But sadly, here in Florida, when it gets really, really cold out of nowhere,
Yeah.
our bodies tend to overreact. And I was in the cold for like 3 hours straight without a jacket, and it caused me to get sick.
I'm sorry,
So
Hila.
that's why I'm
I'm
coughing.
sorry on behalf of Florida.
Yeah, so that's why I'm coughing and I'm sick. A little bit kind of ending now, but I just wanted you guys to know. I don't want you guys to think that I'm like, oh, she has COVID and she's coughing all over everybody. That's not the case. And even though I am slightly coughing, I am covering myself as well.
Oh, I'm glad.
So
I want to pivot the conversation a little bit, open up the floor, and ask if you have committed this movie sin, which is to go to a movie theater, pay for one ticket, watch a movie, and then go and watch another movie.
yes.
Yes, I have done that before, yes.
Is that something that you guys feel is wrong?
But
I watched A Proposal, Tangled, and another one.
Holy cow.
wow.
Yeah, I
Nice.
remember it was
That's
at-
efficiency.
It was at AMC, and my sister and I, we didn't have a lot of money. So we're like, we can only afford one ticket. And my dad's like, I'm going to drop you guys off. If you guys, it's like, I'm going to be gone for a while. And you guys want me to drop you off now? All right, then you guys have to either walk home or wait the whole time. And my sister and I were like, I guess we'll watch 3 movies.
Wow, holy cow.
And we watched The Proposal, Tangled, and Contagion.
Oh, yeah, I think that
Something
was
like
around
that.
that time.
I
Yeah.
think it was around all those, and I watched
Right.
them.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was really random.
So I did it more in my, closer to my infancy.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't
Oh yeah,
that
same.
I
I
did
was
it
like
when I
15.
was older. Right. For me, it was probably when I was like maybe 13, around there. And it wasn't because like my brother and I went and did it. No, it was because there was a kid in the apartment complex that we lived in that we hung out with a lot. And his grandma he would go with her to, he lived with his grandma, and she would take him to the movies, and sometimes we'd go with them. And so they would do that. And we did it probably like 2 or 3 times maybe. And I remember that, yeah, like we would have probably, like you, we saw like 3 movies probably, like, for like 1 ticket or whatever. And then, yeah, after that, I never did it again. My brother and I never did it again. But it was something that I do remember it happening. I don't remember specifically what movies they were, but I definitely have done it, you know. But
Growing up, my mom, my sister, and I would do that a lot. When we would visit my mom in Miami, she would take us out to the movies, and I was always the one who would pick the movies So maybe that factors into the Chappie thing. But but yeah, but a lot of people did that in Miami. It was pretty normal. So every movie, some guy from a movie theater would go in to see if there are people like, sitting on the stairs or whatever, and kick them out. And that happened to me a couple of times. But like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh, you got me, and then leave. That's what happened.
I guess that's true. I did that to watch. I also one time, me and Isaac Tito, if he's hearing this, bro, what's up? He
Wow.
probably isn't.
That's a name I haven't heard in
But
a while.
yeah, we went to the theaters, and we were gonna watch Machete, the Machete one, the one that came out. But I think he was like underage or something. I think we both were. I was like 17 and he was like 15 or whatever the heck. And we bought tickets for Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, wow.
And we're
Okay.
like, whatever, because we went and we didn't think anything cool was playing. So we sat down and we're like, this movie looks weird. So we got up and went to the Machete. It was fine. It was whatever. I know I've seen it. I can't remember. I know Lindsay Lohan's in it. But yeah, that was just like another time where I feel like I broke the rules, right?
Wow.
Where I like bought a ticket and then went to a different movie.
Wow.
I was such a rebel.
a bunch
guys.
of rebels here. Yeah.
Such a rebel.
So on that note, I'm gonna wrap things up unless you guys can think of any other experiences, any last minute things that come to mind.
The thing is, I think I have two experiences that I kind of remembered.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I was telling the guys earlier, I don't really have those big ones. Like nobody has dropped anything on me, or I've never had anyone like have sex next to while I'm sitting, or I've never had anything crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me the horrible or like awkward experiences have been when I've seen a movie with someone else and it's awkward. Like or it's like not enjoyable. Like when I went to go watch Hereditary with you guys.
Uh-huh.
Hated that movie. I mean, it's great, but I terrified the whole time.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't enjoy it because I was literally full of fear the entire time.
Gotcha.
So I feel like that could be like an experience where I'm like, I didn't love it, but it wasn't like, oh, it was a scary time. I feel like one of these days we should talk about like the most like funnest experiences, because I just remembered of when we watched The Boy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then another really kind of funny and awkward moment, which I didn't realize, but in hindsight I should have, and this was recent, was when David and I went to the movies. David is Huba's cousin and our friend, and we went to watch Hustlers.
The Jennifer
Lopez one
movie.
where they're all strippers. Right. I should have known, but I didn't. So it was just me and him and like maybe a couple of people. And that's the thing, like obviously we're both mature people, so it's not a big deal, but this is it's like you were an actual strip club, right?
Right.
So the whole time I felt like I had taken, because I think I paid too. So I felt like I had taken him to a strip club, and it was very strange. And like I said, we were both like, and it was in the big screen. So it was like Jennifer Lopez and her full everything. And don't get me wrong, she's a beautiful woman, but I was like, maybe this was the wrong choice of movie to watch with my great guy friend. And he was just kind of like, he didn't say anything the whole time. The whole movie he was just quiet.
Oh man.
And,
yeah, because what do you know? Being in that situation, what are you gonna say? You're
right.
Like,
What can
look
you
at
say?
that. Huh. Interesting.
Right. So
Yeah,
we were like,
there's no winning formula.
At
there.
the end,
Like,
we
if
were
it
all
was
like,
me, I'd say something uncomfortable, like be like, "Oh wow, strip clubs, huh?" I don't know, because I'd be
right.
uncomfortable.
It was just at the end we were like, oh, it wasn't too bad, and then we just left.
Nice. Yeah, just leave it at that.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, David is great, so I wasn't like horrible. I feel like if it was anyone else, it would have been like worse or more awkward. But it was just like that feeling of like, oh, I literally took this guy to a strip club. I was like, you're welcome, man. I don't know what else, but other than that, I've never had bad experiences ever.
All right.
Which shows that I've had pretty good times.
Good.
That's why I love
Good.
the theater.
All right, if you say so.
I love the theater.
And you, Hoove, any closing remarks?
There was one other experience that I've had that's a negative one. That's a big one. And it's my brother and I were pretty young. It's when S.W.A.T came out.
Oh,
the
that
theater.
was a while ago.
SWAT.
And it was my parents and my brother and I.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was we got kicked out.
What?
Yeah, and it was the reason is because, and I could understand why we got kicked out, and it's fine. I understand now. Now looking back,
Yeah.
we got kicked out for a reason, but it also wasn't like as bad as the person who got us kicked out was. It wasn't that. It wasn't that bad. Like they were over exaggerating. And it's something that I don't like either. I don't like it when people are talking in the theater, right, making noises.
Yeah.
But my parents, when we're watching film, especially if there's no closed captions or subtitles, they're not really understanding, so they have to explain it to each other, right?
Okay.
So they're trying to piece the movie together and explain to each other what the other one didn't get,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they're
That's
talking to
actually
each other,
really
they're
cute.
whispering to each
Yeah.
other. And that bothered whoever it was that was either in front of us or behind us, and they kept shushing my dad, and so then they would stop talking. But then when something came up that they didn't understand, they would keep like explaining it to each other, until the person left and told whatever attendant, and then they came and they kicked us out.
Wow.
And so the reason it's unpleasant is because my dad was upset. And it's justified, why they kicked us out, but it was because it was like seeing him upset and like, you know, and that we got kicked out like halfway through the movie. And I remember exactly where it was in the movie that we got kicked out. And it's like they're having some birthday party for a kid and they're playing with water guns. I don't know why, I just remember that.
Wow,
And
that's
so,
really specific.
later on, I did finish the movie.
Oh, okay. Was it
But
worth it or?
when I was older.
Oh, okay.
The movie is it's like a action movie. It's not a bad time.
Right. Right.
But yeah, Samuel Jackson. I forget
That's
who
right.
else.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez, I think, is in it.
She was in everything for like a hot minute.
Yeah.
Machete.
Oh, she is in Machete.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the other one. That I can remember that would like stand out when I was younger.
Yeah, I recently have started. Well, not anymore, but for a while, I was taking my parents to see movies, because that's something that we as a family never really did that much. Was go to a movie theater. My sister and I would go with my mom, but I don't know. I was like way too into movies, so my dad would feel like pressure if I was watching a movie with him. I don't know. Maybe that's it, or we just never went to the movies that much, or never really had time, or the money to go, or whatever. So now in my adulthood, I started taking my parents, and then there are some moments where I'm like, and I guess this is completely switching the podcast to like the best movie experiences, because like there are some moments where and my dad got the nachos and the he was that guy with the popcorn and the soda, and like he came in 5 minutes into the movie, and I'm like, Dad, shut up, or whatever, and then. But to see my parents like enjoy a movie, and we went to see Jumanji and Incredibles 2 and Mission Impossible Fallout.
Nice.
And yeah, to have those experiences with them, watching, having a good time watching a movie with parents is really nice. So yeah, it's a shame that was broken up by S.W.A.T. So
Yeah. It like I completely agree. Watching movies with both my parents, and we would watch movies together. That was a great experience. And I like. There was one time my dad and I got into a debate.
Really?
On Star Trek, the second one.
Okay.
What's it called? Not Wrath of Khan. That's the original cast, but the Star Trek, the second one,
Into Darkness?
Yeah, Into Darkness, yeah. And so that one. And we got into a debate, which I thought was interesting. And it's sad that I can't get into those debates anymore with him. But I think it was like interesting that I got to do that with him in that instance. But yeah, it's a great thing to watch the movies with our parents. Nowadays, I don't watch movies with my mom. Like we don't. If my brother and I are watching a movie and she wants to sit down, she will. But we try to avoid it because she'll like ask questions, and we're trying to, like you say, we're trying to watch the movie. And she's over here trying to make us pause it to explain things to her. And also she only likes watching Lifetime romantic movies. We're like, no, I don't want to watch a movie with the Spanish dub.
Right.
But by Spanish, I don't mean in español. No, I mean Spanish from Spain.
Yeah, with the Spanish accent.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, no, I'm good. But yeah, it was the times that we did. It was It was great.
Mm-hmm. Great. So on that note, some kind of bittersweet, I guess I'll be wrapping it up. So thank you guys for participating in this convo, and make sure to let us know what other podcast ideas you're thinking we can go over, different stories we can tell, because we're all a treasure trove of different life experiences here. So thanks for listening.
Please don't have sex in the theater.
We advocate for safe theater sex. Love you. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Beautiful.
Clap, clap, clap.
I don't know why.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know what I said. And why I said it that way either.